Naseem Hamed walked into every fight knowing he'd destroy his opponent, despite one known problem. He fought his entire career with a hand that was basically broken. But here's the crazy part. His most dangerous weapon wasn't his fists at all. It was his mouth. And that same mouth that made him a superstar would eventually destroy everything he'd built. This guy had an 84% knockout ratio. That means out of every 10 people he fought, he put 8 of them to sleep. Mike Tyson at his peak? 76%. But here's something even crazier. In 2019, Ring magazine did something they'd never done before. They gave Naseem a title retroactively, acknowledging he was so dominant that he deserved recognition no other fighter in history has ever received.
Knocked down in both rounds so far. Prince Naseem Hamed is now king, wins his first world championship.
Picture this: Sheffield, England, 1981. A skinny 7-year-old kid with big dreams and bigger problems. Naseem Hamed was tiny, even for his age. His dad looked at this kid and thought, he's gonna get his butt kicked every day at school. So he did what any worried father would do. He dragged little Naseem to the roughest boxing gym in town. Brendan Ingles' gym wasn't like the fancy training centers you see today. This place was old school brutal. Kids would come in crying and leave, either tougher or never come back. Ingle had one rule: if you can't handle the pain here, you can't handle it anywhere. The training was insane. Ingle would make kids spar with guys twice their size. He'd have them fight with their hands tied behind their backs to work on footwork. He'd blindfold them and make them react to sounds. Most kids quit after a week, but not Naseem. This kid was different. While other 7-year-olds were playing video games, Naseem was getting his face punched in by teenagers, and he loved every second of it. By the time he was 12, something strange started happening. This tiny kid was beating up guys who should have destroyed him. He moved like he was dancing. He'd drop his hands down by his waist, something every boxing coach tells you never to do, and somehow still make guys miss by inches. Ingle called it boxing from another planet. Instead of the traditional stand-up straight, hands-up style, Naseem would lean back like he was lounging in a chair, hands down, chin exposed. It should have gotten him killed. Instead, it made him untouchable.
I was too strong, too fast, and too good, and I'm world champ.
His amateur record was ridiculous. 62 wins, only 5 losses. But those numbers don't tell the real story. The real story was how he won. Kids would come to fight Naseem and leave questioning if they even wanted to box anymore. One opponent said after fighting amateur Naseem, it was like trying to hit smoke. Every time I thought I had him, he wasn't there. Then suddenly I'm on the floor wondering what truck hit me. April 1992. 18-year-old Naseem Hamed is about to turn professional. There's just one problem. He's too light for his weight class. So what does he do? He stuffs his shorts with lead weights before the weigh-in. That's the level of crazy we're dealing with here. His first professional fight lasted 2 rounds. His opponent probably went home and considered a career change. But it was fight number 12 that put the boxing world on notice. Vincenzo Belcastro wasn't some nobody. This guy was the European bantamweight champion, 33 years old, experienced, tough as nails. Everyone expected him to teach this cocky 20-year-old kid a lesson. The fight started, and within seconds, literally seconds, Belcastro was on the floor. Nobody saw the punch coming. One moment he's moving forward, the next he's staring at the ceiling wondering what happened. Belcastro got up, shook his head, and tried to figure out what hit him. He couldn't, because Naseem threw punches from angles that didn't exist in textbooks. Uppercuts that came from his shoes, hooks that curved around guards like they had GPS. Round 5, Belcastro goes down again. This time, the referee doesn't even count it because he's confused about what he just saw. By the end of the fight, this experienced champion looked like he'd been hit by a tornado.
Do you fancy going in with him next?
I'd love to box him. I'd love to box anybody. I'd knock any featherweight out. Do you know what I mean? All I have to do is turn up. I've already won.
After the fight, Belcastro said something that would become legendary. "I've been boxing for 15 years. I thought I'd seen everything. That kid isn't human." This is when the showmanship really started. Naseem realized he wasn't just good at boxing, he was good at entertainment. The somersaults over the ropes started, the leopard print shorts, the trash talking that made wrestling look subtle. Other fighters hated it. Old school boxing fans called it disrespectful. But guess what? The arenas were packed. People who'd never watched boxing were buying tickets. just to see what this crazy kid would do next. September 30th, 1995, Cardiff Arms Park, Wales. It's raining so hard the ring is basically a swimming pool. Naseem Hamed is about to fight for his first world title against Steve Robinson, the WBO featherweight champion. Robinson was no joke. 26 years old, 7 successful title defenses, home crowd advantage. This was supposed to be Naseem's reality check. The fight started and Naseem immediately did what everyone told him not to do. He dropped his hands, stuck his chin out, and basically dared Robinson to hit him. Robinson tried. He threw everything he had, and somehow everything missed. It was like watching a magician. Robinson would throw a perfect jab, and Naseem would lean back just enough for it to miss by a hair. Then, while Robinson was still recovering, Naseem would counter with shots that came from impossible angles. Round 5. The magic happened. Nobody even saw the punch that dropped Robinson. 1 second he's standing. The next he's flat on his back in the rain, looking up at the Welsh sky, wondering what dimension he just got sent to. Robinson got up, but he was never the same. Round 8, another shot from nowhere, and the referee stopped the fight. At 21 years old, after just 20 professional fights, Naseem Hamed was world champion. But here's the part nobody talks about.
Arrogance. It was a good shot, Ricky. You do well to get over it. It really took the wind out of yourself.
During that fight, Naseem badly injured his right hand, the hand that would cause him problems for the rest of his career. His greatest strength was also his weakness. He punched so hard that he kept breaking himself. After the fight, with his hand in agony, Naseem did something that became his trademark. He grabbed the microphone and said, "I told you I was too strong, too fast, and too good. I'm world champion now, and this is just the beginning." The crowd booed. The commentators called him arrogant, but deep down, everyone knew he was right. 3 months later, Naseem made his first title defense. The fight lasted 35 seconds, not 35 minutes, 35 seconds, 3 punches, game over. The crowd barely had time to sit down. His second defense, even faster. 1 body shot, lights out. The opponent literally didn't know what hit him until he watched the replay later. By now, America was paying attention. Boxing fans across the pond were hearing about this crazy British kid who fought like he was playing a video game on easy mode. They wanted to see if he was real or just hype. December 19th, 1997, Madison Square Garden, New York, the most famous boxing venue in the world. Naseem Hamed versus Kevin Kelly, a tough American former champion who promised to humble the British showboat. Before the fight, Kelly did what every American opponent did. He talked trash. "This kid's gonna come in here doing his little dance moves, and I'm gonna put him to sleep. This is America, son. We don't play games here." Naseem's response? "Tell him I'm gonna knock him spark out." What's he gonna say to that? The fight started, and within 1 minute, Naseem was on the floor.
Stopped it. His second successive victory inside 2 rounds.
Kevin Kelly had dropped the unbeatable Prince with a perfect right hand. The American crowd went wild. The British wonder kid was human after all. But here's what separated Naseem from everyone else. Getting knocked down didn't scare him. It pissed him off. He got up with this look in his eyes that said, "Okay, now I'm gonna hurt you." And that's exactly what happened. Round 2, Kelly goes down. Then he gets up and immediately goes down again. Round 3, same thing. By round 4, this tough American fighter looked like he'd been through a blender. The knockout in round 4 was artwork. Naseem threw an uppercut that started somewhere near his ankles and ended up removing Kelly's consciousness. The Madison Square Garden crowd, who came to boo the British showboat, stood up and applauded. After the fight, Kelly said something that summed up what it was like to fight Naseem. "I thought I had him figured out. Then I woke up wondering if I was still in New York." But the most important fight of this period wasn't the most exciting one. It was against Tom Johnson, the IBF champion. This was a unification fight. Winner takes all. Johnson was 10 years older, more experienced, and had defended his title 11 times. He was everything Naseem wasn't: disciplined, technical, boring, but effective. For 7 rounds, it was a chess match. Johnson was trying to outbox the boxer. Naseem was looking for the one opening he needed. Then, round 8, he found it. 1 combination, 3 punches, fight over. At 22 years old, Naseem Hamed had unified 2 world titles and proved he wasn't just a showman. He was a legitimate, world-class destroyer.
Yeah, very sharp looking stuff there. Yeah, I can
forgive him for all his madness that he's at in the ring, because he's got superb talent. Again, as he was finishing the kid.
By 1998, Naseem Hamed was ranked 6th in the world, pound for pound. That means out of every boxer on the planet, regardless of weight, only 5 guys were considered better. He had everything: money, fame, world titles, and a knockout ratio that made Mike Tyson jealous. But success was changing him, and not in a good way. The training sessions got shorter, the discipline got looser. Brendan Ingle, the man who'd turned a skinny 7-year-old into a world champion, was watching his greatest creation slowly destroy himself. Ingle started complaining publicly. Naseem thinks he's invincible. He's showing up to training when he feels like it. He's more interested in his celebrity lifestyle than his boxing career. The breaking point came in 1998. After 16 years together, more than half of Naseem's life, the partnership ended. Ingle, the man who knew Naseem better than anyone, was out. Why? Because Naseem thought he'd outgrown his teacher. He hired Emanuel Stewart, one of the most famous trainers in boxing, a man who'd worked with legends like Thomas Hearns and Lennox Lewis. The change was immediate, and not in a good way. Stewart tried to make Naseem more conventional, more disciplined, more like every other boxer. But Naseem's entire style was built on being unconventional. Taking away his weirdness was like asking Picasso to paint like everyone else. The fights got harder. Opponents who should have been easy work started taking him the distance. The knockouts became less frequent. The magic was fading. Meanwhile, his behavior outside the ring got worse. He'd show up to press conferences late. He'd skip promotional events. He acted like the rules didn't apply to him because for so long, they hadn't. One reporter asked him, "Do you think you're taking your opponents seriously enough?" Naseem's response, "I'm too strong for these featherweights. When I start punching them, they go ouch, and I take them out. That's 10 world title defenses, 10 knockouts. What are you saying?"
Kid normally walked onto a punch with it. He stuck his chin up in the air, but tremendous ability to switch his position.
The arrogance that had made him famous was becoming the thing that might destroy him. April 7, 2001, MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Naseem Hamed versus Marco Antonio Barrera. This was supposed to be Naseem's coronation as the undisputed featherweight king. Instead, it became his funeral. The preparation for this fight was a disaster from day one. While Barrera trained like a monk in the mountains of Big Bear, California, Naseem trained in Bing Crosby's old mansion. While Barrera was running at 5 a.m., Naseem was probably still asleep. Emanuel Stewart watched Naseem's training camp and later said he knew they were in trouble. "I watched Marco a few months before in Vegas, and he looked razor sharp. Then I watched Naseem spar with young Mexican fighters, and he wasn't taking it seriously. He was playing around. But Naseem didn't care. He was 35-0. He'd never lost. In his mind, he was unbeatable. The bookmakers agreed. Naseem was a 3-1 favorite. The boxing world expected another highlight reel knockout. 8 weeks before the fight, Naseem was still 15 pounds overweight. Most fighters would panic. Naseem just figured he'd lose it easily like he always had. He didn't. Fight night arrived, and something was different. Naseem looked softer, slower. For the first time in his career, he looked beatable. The fight started, and within minutes, everyone knew something was wrong. Barrera wasn't falling for the tricks. The hands-down style that had fooled 35 opponents wasn't working. The angles that used to create openings were being shut down. Round after round, Barrera outworked him, outboxed him, out-hustled him. This was the fight where Naseem's lack of preparation finally caught up with him.
And he went down heavily from that one because his legs weren't supporting him, his reflexes weren't what they should have been, and he went down.
By round 8, Naseem was getting beaten up. Not knocked out, but systematically dismantled by a better prepared fighter. Round 12, Barrera grabbed Naseem from behind and pushed his head into the ring post. The referee took a point away, but it didn't matter. The decision was unanimous. For the first time in his life, Naseem Hamed had lost. After the fight, he tried to put on a brave face. "The fact is, he couldn't drop me. He couldn't knock me out. I'm going out of this ring like a champion. I'll get straight back in the gym and come back like champions do." But he never did. Naseem fought once more, a routine decision win against Manuel Calvo in London. Then, at 28 years old, at an age when most fighters are entering their prime, he retired. The official reason? Hand injuries. The real reason? Nobody knows for sure. Some say he lost his hunger after the Barrera loss. Some say the hand injuries were worse than anyone knew. Others think he just couldn't handle not being invincible anymore. Whatever the reason, one of the most gifted fighters in boxing history walked away, leaving everyone wondering what could have been. In 2005, his life took another dark turn. He crashed his Mercedes at 90 miles per hour into a family car, seriously injuring the other driver. He served 4 months in prison and lost his MBE honor from the Queen. For years, he became a recluse. The flashy, confident showman disappeared. Reports surfaced that he'd gained massive amounts of weight and rarely left his house. But here's the thing about legends: they live forever. In 2015, Naseem Hamed was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. The same sport that he'd frustrated with his antics recognized him as one of the greatest of all time. Today, his sons Adam and Sammy are professional boxers. Adam is 5'0" and fighting under the same Prince nickname. The question everyone's asking is whether he inherited his father's supernatural gifts. Modern fighters still study Naseem's old fights. His unconventional style influenced a generation of boxers who realized you don't have to fight like everyone else to be great. But the biggest legacy isn't in the Hall of Fame or the highlight reels. It's in the eternal question that haunts boxing fans. What if Naseem had stayed disciplined? What if he'd kept training with Ingle? What if he'd prepared properly for Barrera? Would he have unified all the belts? Would he have moved up in weight and conquered other divisions? Would he be mentioned alongside Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson as the greatest of all time? We'll never know. And maybe that's what makes the story so fascinating. Naseem Hamed was proof that in boxing, natural talent can take you everywhere, but only discipline can keep you there. He had enough skill to beat anyone on the planet, but not enough wisdom to beat himself. 36 wins, 1 loss, 31 knockouts, Hall of Fame career, global superstar. And yet, the most interesting chapter might be the one that was never written. The kid who came from nothing and conquered everything, only to discover that his greatest enemy was looking back at him in the mirror. That's the real story of Prince Naseem Hamed, not just the fighter who destroyed 36 opponents, but the fighter who ultimately destroyed himself. And somewhere in Sheffield, there's probably a 7-year-old kid in Brendan Ingle's gym, learning the same lessons Naseem once learned, wondering if they'll be smart enough to remember them when the lights get bright and the world starts telling them they're invincible. Because in boxing, as in life, the hardest fight is always the one against yourself.